a regional workshop including all 8 Northeast states on public health and WASH for Northeast states. Now, WASH stands for Water, Sanitation and Hygiene, was held in Chumakidima today. Now, the Niti Ayog representatives were here, including representatives from all northeastern states of India. Today's program had ministers of PHED and Rural Development, Jacob Zimomi and Mitsupu Jamir. During the inaugural session of this workshop, Mitsupu Jamir in his speech put out a very valid point where he had mentioned about the guidelines and how different it is for the northeast states from the rest of India, especially when it comes to the Panchayati Raj guidelines in contrast to the VDBs over here, the Village Development Board guidelines. It's very different. So he has appealed to the Niti Ayog to look into it and probably have a different set of guidelines for the northeastern states as well. Now, Jacob Zimomi, the Minister of PHED, during his speech has also mentioned that the right direction has been laid for the projects under the department, the PHED department, but then there are few challenges that is being faced, especially in terms of providing water. Now, he has also mentioned that the infrastructure for tap water facilities has been laid, but then the main challenge here is the hilly terrain in the state where only rain-fed rivers is the only source of water, unlike other northeastern states like Arunachal, where it is rain-fed plus glacier fed as well for the water connectivities and water supply to the population of the state. Let's have a look at today's inaugural program.
On behalf of the host state, I'd like to warmly welcome you all to this one-day regional workshop, which is the third in the evolution series of the Niti Ayog. It's both an honor and a privilege to address this esteemed gathering at the regional workshop for public health and WASH in the northeastern region. The workshop is a timely and crucial initiative bringing together policymakers, community leaders and experts to deliberate on sustainable solutions for water, sanitation and hygiene challenges that impact public health in the region. The northeastern region, with its rich cultural diversity and natural abundance, is home to communities that have thrived for centuries despite geographical and infrastructural challenges. The government has made significant strides under national programs such as the Jal Jeevan Mission and the Swachh Bharat Mission. Yet, several states within the northeast continue to face substantial challenges, including uneven access to clean drinking water, inadequate waste management infrastructure, and a lag in open defecation-free plus achievements. Public health concerns related to WASH continue to persist in the region, exacerbating socio-economic disparities and limiting developmental gains. As we gather here today, we acknowledge that ensuring clean water, proper sanitation, and effective waste management is not just a matter of putting in place the necessary infrastructure, but a fundamental prerequisite for human dignity and well-being. Solutions to these challenges must be community-driven, leveraging the rural social capital that's intrinsic to the northeastern region. Approaches must be contextualized and localized, ensuring that they align with the region's socio-economic and geographic realities. Community-led governance models, such as Nagaland's Communitization of Public Institutions and Services Act 2002, highlight the power of grassroots leadership in driving sustainable development. This model offers a blueprint that other states in the region can adapt. I'd like to take this opportunity to highlight the key themes of the workshop today. we see wide variations amongst the northeastern states in each of these themes. The first is Swachh Northeast Sanitation and Waste Management. States like Sikkim and Mizoram have made remarkable strides in achieving ODF plus status, but states like Nagaland and Manipur require intensified efforts in fecal sludge and liquid waste management. A lot of work is happening, but there's still some ground to cover for all of us. The Gobardhan initiative, which promotes organic waste to biogas conversion, needs greater adoption in the region. The Swajal Northeast, the second theme, relates to water quality and contamination. States like Arunachal Pradesh and Mizoram ensured 100% tap water coverage, setting an example for other states working towards addressing the coverage gaps. Geogenic contamination such as iron, arsenic, and fluoride pose serious health risks, necessitating stronger monitoring and localized water purification technologies. The third is the Swasth Northeast, which deals with public health and WASH. Meghalaya's integrated WASH and public health programs, the public health approach has successfully reduced waterborne diseases, demonstrating a model to address hygiene and sanitation issues. Behavioral change campaigns targeting youth and women are crucial in ensuring long-term improvements in hygiene practices. A key aspect of this workshop is an opportunity to learn from one another. Several states have implemented exemplary models that can be adapted across the region. To highlight a few, Sikkim's decentralized waste management system serves as a model for effective liquid and solid waste handling. Mizoram's success in achieving near total rural water coverage highlights the importance of governance and community participation. Meghalaya's integration of WASH and public health programs provides a valuable roadmap to other states to strengthen disease prevention through improved sanitation. By sharing these best practices, we can build a collective knowledge and drive more effective WASH governance in the region. Our call to action today is very clear. Strengthen partnerships among government agencies, local bodies, civil society, and private sector stakeholders. Encourage community ownership to ensure WASH programs are sustainable and culturally relevant. Foster behavioral change through sustained awareness campaigns, particularly among youth and women who can play pivotal roles in community health. Invest in resilient infrastructure suited to the geographical realities, the geographical and climatic conditions of the Northeast. Improve policy coordination to address disparities in access to clean water and sanitation. Access to clean water and sanitation is not merely a developmental goal, it's a fundamental right. The road ahead may not be an easy one, but with collaborative action, community participation, and knowledge sharing, we can ensure a more healthier and resilient Northeast. Let this workshop be a platform for meaningful dialogue and actionable strategies that will shape the future of WASH and public health in the region. By learning from each other's successes, we can forge a collective path towards a Swachh, Swajal, and Swasth Northeast. As I close the speech, I'd like to place on record our gratitude to the entire team from Niti Ayog, Shri Yugal Joshi, Program Director, Shri A. Muralidharan, Deputy Advisor, Shri Anand Shekhar, Senior Consultant, Dr. Priscilla, Shri Saroj Kumar Nayak, and Shri Gaurav Mishra. Thank you and God bless us all.
So before coming to today's thing, we all know, water, health, sanitation, these issues are very much interrelated. You cannot expect one doing better in absence of others. So this is very important. And considering this, in 2014, the NDA government, they started these programs in mission mode. For example, different programs on sanitation, water, these were started, cleaning of rivers and others. So they were all done. The success of India in sanitation and Jal Jeevan Mission providing tap water supply happened because of the active support of the states, so that these programs can be successful in mission mode. These exceptional success of these programs were resting on 4 pillars. We in the ministry used to call them 4 Ps. One is the strong political will that was always behind these all programs. Second was the adequate provision of public funds. There is no dearth of fund for sanitation programs or tap water supply programs, even for the health related programs these days. But most importantly, the third pillar was the partnership with the states, with the districts, with the development partners, CSOs, academia, media, everybody. We have the example of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan in front of us, and in Jal Jeevan Mission, how all the stakeholders, they contributed so much to the success of these programs. But finally, the fourth pillar is the important thing, and always Honorable Prime Minister talks about it, that owning and the leadership of the grassroots, owning and leadership of the people, making these programs truly a Jan Andolan or people's movement, that becomes very important for success of these programs. So as a result, if we see the kind of success India has achieved, and more importantly, specifically the kind of success northeastern states, all the 8 states have achieved, is remarkable. In many of the parameters on sanitation, health and water, northeastern states, they performed much better than rest of the Indian average. So that's quite admirable, and it shows the kind of political will and people's participation and other issues behind that, forces behind that. But today, so two things. One I wanted to highlight on that is the coverage of tap water supply, and another is the number of women trained to test the quality of water. These are just two small examples. Today's workshop, when we thought to organize at Niti Ayog, then we thought one thing was very clear in our minds, that a solution fit for all cannot work in many parts of the countries. Northeastern region has its own challenges. So can we all come together and think what can be the ideal solution for region-specific challenges and region-specific, the diaphragmatic situation and the geographical situation, which are different, the terrain and everything. Can we come up with some kind of specific recommendations to the challenges facing in the wash sector? So that was the purpose. That is the purpose why we all are gathered here. Few of the challenges I would like to list here. So Tawashilan has helped me a lot, and he has listed the long list and the achievements. I'll touch upon only a few in very brief. We all know, northeastern region has its own difficult terrain and remote location and scattered settlement challenges. Geographical area is different. So can we think that how the infrastructure to health, sanitation and water can be tweaked according to that? Most important thing which is now coming up is the water quality issue. It is always all over India we are facing with that. But here big issue is now coming up. Earlier it was only centered around Assam. Now it is spreading to the northeast. That is arsenic, fluoride, and now iron contamination in the groundwater. Turbidity issue we all are familiarized, mostly in the monsoon time or otherwise. Contamination in water resource is also an issue which in some of the states now we are facing. But more of these all, the climate change looms large now in front of us, and we don't know, what kind of erratic rainfall patterns we will be facing in future, and that has a direct impact on our water sources. Groundwater depletion is a very big issue in North India and other places. Here we have this Central Groundwater Board reports. They say that situation is not so much alarming in northeast. Roughly they say that around 0 to 5 meters groundwater level we can reach water. But the kind of interaction I have with the officials and people in northeast, there are contamination issues and differences, variations according to the seasons. There are seasonal variations. And the IMD report says that in last 50 years data they have analyzed, and it says that 25 roughly, there is a huge chunk of shortage now in rainfall patterns. And second thing is that the number of drought weeks have gone up by 25%. So that's a big challenge, and we all know that those spring and the local water sources which we used to preserve, people used to preserve, are now very fast depleting. So until and unless we don't manage our sources according to our needs, for example, surface water or groundwater issues in plains of North India will be very much different to our issues. So can we come up with the solutions according to our problems? So on infrastructure issues, I would like to point out only 3 things. Number one is the coverage versus completion. For example, if I talk about the Jal Jeevan Mission and its coverage, Then we see, recently we had analyzed in Niti Ayog and the Department of Drinking Water and Resources also analyzed. So there is a skewed kind of correlation between tap water supply and the number of schemes completed. For example, in Northeast, Arunachal is having 100% coverage, certified coverage, and say Mizoram is having 100% reported coverage. Assam and Nagaland. These four states, we can see from the data that the coverage of tap water supply is almost proportional to the number of schemes completed. But in rest of the states, this is very much skewed. You can see that for 80% coverage, we have less than 20 or 20% completion of schemes. So this is one issue where officers may like to, see how this is and why this is skewed. Second is the issue of functionality. In Jal Jeevan Mission, it was said that we will be providing 55 liters per capita per day water of assured quality and with regularity. So if you see different kind of surveys and analysis, they say that roughly in different these three parameters, there is 80% or so success. But when you combine all these three together, and this has been our experience in day-to-day life and whenever we go to the field, if you combine all three, the quantity, quality and the regularity, then out of three only one tap water or out of three one tap water is completely non-functional. This is the issue. Now with this issue, if you want to supply tap water that is good of quality to every household, 55 liters, then you multiply it with the population of the Northeast, that much water we will be requiring daily. And from where we will get that with all these challenges? So this is one of the issues which needs to be focused, and today's workshop perhaps we will discuss on these things. Second issue is about the water quality labs. So water quality labs, the number all over India is still very less. In Northeast, we see that though there are state level labs, but all the districts still don't have those water quality labs. And at block level and at sub-divisional level, this is even less. And more so, the quality of these labs, the accreditation and other part, it is still to be done. Majority of that part is to be done. This becomes important because we are providing tap water supply to the villages, to the households, to test that, especially twice in a season for waterborne diseases or bacteriological contamination and for chemical contamination, especially knowing that northeastern states are very much vulnerable to diarrhea, cholera and typhoid fever, and these are issues which are related with the quality of the water. So this is one thing perhaps we will discuss today in detail. On sanitation front, Northeast has a great record, and we share the stories of Northeast to all the rest of the India, the best practices from here. But still, on plastic waste and grey water management, perhaps we have to think how to resolve these issues. Now, one more issue I would like to highlight here. Mostly, whenever we talk about water from central government point of view, we focus on the rural side. But there is a big rural-urban disparity here. My own personal experience has been that in rural Northeast, though we have a better infrastructure, sanitation and drinking water, tap water supply is better, but in urban area there is much to be done. Similarly, in rural areas we advocated for twin pit toilet and others, but in urban or especially in towns, we have much to do about fecal FSTPs. And tap water supply in all the towns, perhaps we have to think over it, because the experience says that still even bigger public institutions, hospitals and others, they are yet to be provided with tap water supply.
I thank the Niti Ayog for having organized this very important workshop, and I express my deep appreciation to the Niti Ayog for having come this far to hold this regional workshop. Allow me not to dwell in water-related issues in my speech, but however, any recommendation that is taken up today, which is related to my department, I rest assured it will be seriously taken up and pursued as per recommended by this August workshop. Taking advantage of this gathering, I will be highlighting only a few issues that concern the rural areas of Nagaland and Northeast in general. Bottlenecks such as lack of adequate infrastructural facilities, poor resources base, and general lack of technical know-how has handicapped the Northeast region, and in particular my state, in the developmental process, consequently hampering the goal to achieve the desired level of all-round development, especially in the rural areas. These issues have hampered the pace of development, and we today admittedly still lag behind in many areas compared to the more developed and advantageous located states in the country. A case example in the PFMS regime where DPT is now mandatory for payment of wages or subsidy beneficiaries of any CSS programs. However, in Nagaland, 21 out of the 76 blocks still remain unbanked, and few districts are still single-banked districts. Our only aspirational district, if free, has only two banks, one SBI and one state cooperative bank located in the district headquarters itself. The difficulty in sustaining and maintaining DBT and PFMS regime is very difficult in hilly states where our banking facilities, our resource distribution is very difficult. So I would like that to be taken note of. While we have no illusions of trying to draw direct parallels with other developed states, the only plausible area where significant trust can be made is the development of the rural areas in the way aimed at not only bringing the people at par with the rest of the country, but also for providing meaningful employment to the educated unemployed youths of the region and weaning them away from joining the various insurgency outfits and at the same time discouraging mass migration from rural to urban areas. In Nagaland, the actual process of decentralization planning was first adopted some 3 decades back by directly involving the traditional institution of the village councils. The planning process and implementation of all development programs at the village level is taken up through the medium of the development agency, probably known as the Village Development Boards. I'm proud to say that the functioning of the VDBs have stood the test of time and have emerged as the hub in which all rural grassroots development activities revolve. The Rural Development Department involved the VDBs, the grassroots level organization of the state for implementation of all rural-based schemes. However, of late, owing to financial constraints faced by the state, the flow of funds for the state matching share have not been irregular but inadequate, which has repeatedly attracted several penalties and deductions from the central allocation. I request that this issue be also discussed at your Niti Ayog organization for exempting resource crunch state from this penalty. The state of Nagaland has been exempted from the 73rd Constitutional Amendment due to the existence of our traditional local bodies such as the village councils and the VDPs. With the constitution of our great country rightly recognizing the peculiar requirements of our local needs, I feel that this very fact amply justifies the need for a different set of parameters altogether for the state and the northeastern region vis-a-vis the national pattern. It is regrettably stated that what is seen here as being the main impediment is the stiffness in the guidelines prescribed under the various CSS programs, and unless this aspect is considered for evolving more realistic guidelines based on ground realities and the local needs of the region, meaningful progress and development as it is happening in other parts of the country can be difficult here. It is my earnest appeal to Government of India and Niti Ayog to consider this request for evolving and adopting a different set of guidelines for the Northeast. The diverse and wide social ethnicity, traditional taboos, topography, geophysical and agricultural practices of the Northeast region poses a great challenge to our great nation on bringing about development to this isolated remote part of our country. We must admit that no single policy, guideline, model or planning process can be generalized and applied across the great nation of ours to meet the diverse needs that exist. This is more particular importance and significance to rural development, with diverse section of rural population representing 75% of our nation, encompassing the well-being of the vast majority of our people. The National Program for Poverty Alleviation should be responsive to the local needs and regional peculiar requirements. Modalities outlined in the guidelines for planning and implementation of the program, as emphasized, does not suit to the geophysical conditions and socio-economic structure of the hilly regions. Therefore, states should have liberty in deciding the modus operandi for planning and implementation of the programs in the best interest of area-specific requirements. In particular, the state of Nagaland has voiced its concern due to its inability to adopt most of the guidelines due to the peculiar grassroots organization RPDPs, whose approach and functioning modality is very different from the Panchayati Raj institutions on which all guidelines are framed. The Finance Commission grants has been a much added relief to a financially constrained state like Nagaland. It is open-ended component where grassroots priority requirements activities are prioritized and taken care of on our identification. For hilly special states like Nagaland, compartmentalizing of funds like tied and untied components can be given a consideration for merger, and this component be utilized in a single component, which will go a long way in utilizing the funds meaningfully. I will not dwell much on this since this matter actually refers to the water management department. So I conclude my speech with this. I'm very grateful again for having given this privilege to be present here today in front of this august body. I conclude my speech here. I wish the very best to the workshop that are being hosted by Niti. Thank you so much.
This program called the Jal Jeevan Mission was started, as mentioned, by Honorable Prime Minister of India in 2019 at Lal Killa. I was also there. I was also a Vidyayan then also. So, Honorable Prime Minister of India had given a clarion call to all the states. Several Honorable Chief Ministers from the country were present. And we got, every subsequent day, we used to get a call from the Ministry of Jal Shakti, regulating our performance day-to-day basis, because this project was on mission mode. We were supposed to complete and certify by the district collectors on the completion of FHTC, which is called the Har Ghar Jal, and submitted to the State Chief Secretary, who is the convener of the JJM in the respective states, and onward submission to the Government of India. However, many states in the country could not complete the task on time because this was a very ambitious project. It was very challenging. All of us took this project with good spirit. Honorable Prime Minister of India had motivated all of us, especially the water ministers from the state. I had the privilege to represent our state as a water minister, implementing the Jal Jeevan mission in the state. So like the rest of the states in the country, Nagaland, along with the northeastern states, had also lagged behind for several challenges that has been addressed by former speakers. Nevertheless, we tried. We are still pursuing it. We are very fortunate that Jal Jeevan mission has been extended till 2028. This is an extension and not, we were told, not a new scheme for operation and maintenance and so on and so forth. So in Nagaland, very briefly I want to share with all of you, we have 1,548 habitations, villages, with a household of 3,76,000 households. So out of 3,76,000 rural households, we have completed 3,37,000 households. So the remaining 26,000 we target to complete it by this quarter. So this is something I wanted to share with all of you. The Jal Jeevan mission in the state, we along with RD department, it's also a convergence program with the RD department as per the guidelines of the Government of India, Ministry of Jal Shakti. So under the 15th Finance Commission Tide Grant Award, they had participated in this prestigious project of the Honorable Prime Minister of India. They have also done well. We are yet to have certified villages from the respective districts. Very soon we are expecting that villages will be certified block-wise, subdivision-wise and district-wise. So we are heading in the right direction. However, there is a challenge before us. And this would be a sort of a recommendation from the state government. So in your technical session, department chief engineers and principal secretaries will elaborate. But we have laid the infrastructure as far as tap connections are concerned. We have laid the pipe infrastructure, but being a hilly state and habitations mostly on the hill area, except the Dimapur region, which is the only commercial city in the state. Because of the elevation, the volume may be low, but table has receded. And the only source in Nagaland is our rivers. And our rivers are primarily rain-fed, not glacier-fed like Arunachal Pradesh, who are really doing well. Both rainfall plus glacier-fed. So that also is very seasonal. We have 5 months of rainfall, and the remaining is dry. So these are the challenges. We have laid the infrastructure. I have said this to the Honorable Union Minister, Shri Gajendra, in the last tenure, and also to Shri C.R. Patel ji also. So these are the very important, crucial issues which needs to be resolved. We have the infrastructure in place, and we have water-stressed districts, especially districts on which are on the hilltops. Either there is very less water or there is no water. So how to resolve this issue? This we need to discuss. I am not a technical person, so I have zero idea about it. If you ask me during monsoon, I can give you a reply. But during dry season, it's very difficult. Kohima, the capital city of Nagaland, which has been declared a smart city, being the capital. We have water challenges. The altitude is high. We have discussed this with the Ministry of Economic Affairs, who are helping us with external aided program. So we are hopeful we will be able to cater to the needs of the Kohima town municipal dwellers. But like that. But the source is going to be rural. There is no water in the municipal area. So we are getting the source from the rural. It's a standalone project. So the assistance may not be very large, but likewise in the districts, we have 17 districts in the state now. Each district we have town and municipal areas. So those town dwellers are running short of water. Though we are not, PHE is not authorized to cater to the town and municipal areas, but the source is rural, so we get involved in the augmentation of water supply in the town areas also. So, now let me get back to rural. This is the most important challenges that we are facing now. Access to bulk water source. We have the facility now. Now we need water, bulk water to the villages, or we can make cluster programs, and from there we can do augmentation. And because having individual source to each village will be a very expensive affair. And financially all of us are not comfortable, including the Ministry of Jal Shakti. They have sent it to the Finance Ministry for financial assistance to the states. It's not been clear. And this is the dry season. We have next 1.5 months to work on ground for all civil works. Since we have not completed the civil works as far as Jal Jeevan Mission is concerned. So that is the recommendation we are going to put forward to Niti Ayog. Now, I want to come back to Swachh Bharat Mission. This has been a prestigious project, pilot project of Honorable Prime Minister of India, announced in 2014, when I was there as a Vidhayak also. Being from the same party, I got the privilege to interact on several occasions concerning the state of Nagaland. We declared open defecation rural Nagaland in 2018, October 2nd. I still remember. I told Honorable Prime Minister of India when I visited him in his residence in Delhi, official residence. I said, sir, sometime between September 25th and 30th, I got an appointment. So few of us. So I got the opportunity to interact with him. I said, sir, we're going to declare ODF rural Nagaland on October 2nd. And this is going to be a gift for you. He was very happy. Arey wah, this was the exact language. With a smiling face. So we were happy. We declared in 2018, 2nd October, much before national timeline of 2019, October 2nd. So that part we could do as far as construction of IHHL and sanitation infrastructures are concerned. So we did well. So that is one part. Now came the SBM2. It was a huge challenge for us because when they adhere to sanitation parameters, it's not easy. Creating infrastructure is all right. But now, the old habits, it dies hard. You're not used to, my state is, by average is good. But you're not used to using the facility, it becomes a problem. We did not face such kind of problem, but behavioral change needed to be developed. And that part, because cleanliness, hygiene was the most important aspect after creating the infrastructure. So that was a challenge for the state government. All deputy commissioners, all district administrative officers had to be roped in. Communitization programs were done. And now the challenge to get the certificate of ODF Plus lies before the state government. So with the help of the 15th Finance Commission grant implemented by the RD department, it's a joint effort, we are able to finish at least 68% of the villages in Nagaland. And the remaining almost 40% needs to be completed to get the certification of ODF Plus. So we have declared several hundred villages in Nagaland out of the 1,548 villages as Sujal Gaon. It's been uploaded in the central ministry. However, you all are aware that the state of Nagaland has no resources on its own. Our state treasury is empty, granary is empty. Our people are exempted from section income tax, under section 10D of income tax laws. So government has no money. It's survived by the grant and aid given by the government of India. However, there's a political issue behind it. I would not like to dwell into the history of how state was created, but it was agreed upon for development, administrative expenditures, and so on and so forth. Government of India will borne all the expenditures. So that grant and aid over the last 60 years have been coming to the aid of the state. We have natural resources, but we have not exploited, including cobalt, mineral, lime, petroleum, oil. We can sponsor the European Union for the next 50 years. That is the strategic location of Nagaland. But we have not exploited pending the Indo-Naga political issue. So that's a separate chapter, but why I am saying this is because you must know all these subjects. Even within the Northeast, Nagaland is a separate chapter. Yes, we have agreed to be under Indian Union. I'm talking about 1960s language. We have agreed statehood, 1963, and we have celebrated the Diamond Jubilee of our statehood last year. We are happy. Our people are happy. Don't worry. But our grievances, our challenges are unique. And there is an agreement in the past. That is why I needed to tell you all these things. From Swachh Bharat, I've diverted to a long journey, but I want to come back. Now, this had a Swachh Bharat mission program and had a huge impact on the lives of our people, even in the state of Nagaland. I have to share with you this, because it's very important. The dignity of our women and children has been enhanced. Though Naga people don't defecate outside, but in interior rural areas, there were issues. So this has been resolved. Infrastructure has been created, facilities has been provided at the doorstep. Now our women and children are living a dignified life, even in the state of Nagaland. So this program called the Swachh Bharat Mission of the Honorable Prime Minister of India had a positive impact in the state of Nagaland, which is the farthermost part of the country. As Honorable Prime Minister had said, to the last man standing in the last village, everybody has got the benefit as far as the rural programs are concerned, which includes Jal Jeevan Mission and Swachh Bharat Mission. So, in our central government vision, led by Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, to make India Viksit Bharat by 2047. Please don't leave Nagaland behind. If you don't give us extra push, we'll be left behind. Adequate documentation based on ground report has to be given by Niti Ayog. We have met the officials from the 15th Finance Commission. Honorable Minister, my colleague, was also there at Kohima. We have given our recommendations, but the workshop in nature like this is very important, because you have called from each districts who are involved in these programs, not only JJM and SPM, but other programs of the Government of India. So this is the kind of interaction we require. In fact, we required this for a very long period of time. It's like from a phone call, you're asking a doctor for your ailment. He will tell you according to what you have spoken, but physical presence is very important. We need physical touch of all of you. This is our prayer, and I'm sure departments concerned, the line department, will give you the exact scenario of our difficulties and progress, and the recommendations that are required to be sounded to the ministries at the Government of India. So with this, I'm sure all of us have benefited from the wonderful sharing of all the in charges from the Niti Ayog, led by our program director, Niti Ayog. So I wish all of you a blessed day and a very interacting, insightful interactions among the departments. Thank you all once again.
Second, as we move on, it's about an interesting combination of our indigenous knowledge, our indigenous wisdom, but also coupling that with frontier technologies. In Niti, we have a scheme through which in at least 50 blocks, Honorable Minister, and maybe we'll choose some from your states also, where we want to deploy frontier technology to accelerate implementation. I was told IoT is a game changer when it comes to water quality. We want to do that for financial inclusion. We want to do that for agriculture through precision agriculture. We want to bring it in health and nutrition so that the game is upped and everybody realizes sustainable access to services. My penultimate point is, while this workshop recommendations are being looked at, we will put a team to follow up on all of this, but we also want to request that if you have an innovative project, if you want to innovate, do something differently, the aspirational districts and blocks program have a window to fund those innovations. So I expect, as an outcome of this workshop, districts, blocks will be able to throw up some innovative projects that we at Niti under the Aspirational Districts and Blocks program can pick it up for funding. We have created a knowledge networking portal which is called Niti for States. Several thousand best practices on all the sectors that are connected to lives of people is available. You can look for policies there, you can look for data there, and most importantly, you can look for practices, best practices. I'm very hopeful that this workshop will dig into that Niti for States portal and share your best practices and share your imagination with us if you want to innovate and are requesting for funds. The last bit is about saturation. The development design for future programs is going through a rapid change. While earlier we were talking in terms of coverages and achieving numbers, now the mantra is full saturation and a targeted saturation so that no one is left behind, as Honorable Minister was saying. It's about last household in the last village realizing all services that matter to their quality of life. And I'm so very grateful that both Honorable Ministers emphasized this point of inclusion by design, emphasized that good governance is the way forward, because that's what Honorable Prime Minister is propounding through the Aspirational Districts and Blocks program. This is, sir, a template of good governance which we want to roll out in all 41 blocks of northeastern states so that we make past generation problems a history and we are prepared for and an equal partner in our journey for Viksit Bharat.